Join me this coming Sunday with Sarah Brown, who's released her first solo album dedicated to Mahalia Jackson. Ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to announce that On the Circle with Esther audio podcast will be broadcast every Monday at 8 o'clock GMT on the Cafe Mocha Network.
Right, ready when you guys are then.
I'm on my way to Canaan land, on my way to Canaan land, my way, Canaan land, on my way, glory, hallelujah, I'm on my way. So privileged to be talking to I also a young lady, you accept it, Sarah, Sarah Brown, and she has a very, I would say, powerful, eclectic, soulful, deep, rich, I would say even historical voice that really hones and brings the past into the future in a very powerful way. So I'm welcoming Sarah Brown to the platform.
Hi, good morning, Esther. Thank you so much for that description, by the way. It's empowering because that is what I've tried to do with this project. And one thing that I've realized from growing up with the Windrush generation, I didn't really understand the positive effect that this generation had on me until it came to really performing this album. And that is the truth. When the conviction of making the album came to me, I thought, yeah, okay, this is a conviction that I understand, but how will I be able to share it and open it to others so that they can understand my childhood through this umbrella? I wasn't sure how to do it, but actually, when I stopped feeling fear and stopped feeling shame, it's amazing how the window just opened to me and I felt like a giant. I actually felt it doesn't matter what happens to this project, to this product that I'm going to put out there. It doesn't matter. The fact is, I've got the guts, I've got the pride to present it to the marketplace and hope that men and women everywhere will just get a glimpse of these people that traveled from the Caribbean, traveled some of them directly from Africa to help build up this country. And they had children here. They wanted to go back. Many of them didn't make it back, but some did make it back. But whilst they were here, they left a beautiful sound and a lovely scent. And I'm all over that, and it's all over me.
And before we go any further then, Sarah, let us know, what is that product? What is the product that we're talking about?
The product that we're talking about, that I'm talking about, is the tribute album, which I've done to Mahalia Jackson. I grew up having to go to church. I had no choice. My mother was extremely matriarchal when it came to right
parents, both of them.
Right. They were, well, I was different to you, Esther. I had a father that was a real James Brown, Bob Marley-esque man. Loved his music, loved parties, loved women, loved smoking weed, and would do so unapologetically. But then a mother that was the complete opposite. And I often wondered, how is it that you, my mother, got together with this man? He's a total womanizer, worked really hard, but trust me, on a Friday, come Friday afternoon, that's it. The suit in the bathroom, washed himself down thoroughly, came out looking like a king. He was beautiful looking. And he would leave the house and sometimes not return until Sunday or late Saturday night. And of course, we 7 of us were brought up under this umbrella. My father over here, my mother over here. But when it came to Sunday, when it came to Saturday, Sunday, no confusion. We as children had to go to church. And the church that we went to was a Pentecostal church. It was very colourful in sound. It was like going to a James Brown concert every week. I mean, everyone was rolling in the aisles. They were skipping, they were dancing, they were creating these wonderful harmonies. And so I had that, and I was only able to listen to, I was only allowed to listen to gospel music, really. Although my father played a colourful variety and a beautiful variety, we, his children, were not encouraged to listen to that variety. We were encouraged to listen to Jim Reeves, Mahalia Jackson. We had a bit of Aretha Franklin. And that pretty much, to be honest with you, was it.
And more than me, because we had Morris Cirillo thrown in, and that was it. Morris Cirillo and Jim Reeves, you know. We didn't have the choice you had, so you've got one up.
It is hilarious, you know. It's an existence that for all of my childhood, I was embarrassed about, and I felt it necessary to hide that existence. But my journey took me to working with Simply Red, Simple Minds, Quincy Jones, Stevie Wonder, Shaka Khan, and Annie Lennox, all the greats. Because my journey of being in the church from a very young age, I was exposed to choir work, and the choir that I sang with was fortunate enough to be signed to a record label called CBS at the time. And CBS then introduced me to Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder had an album out and was looking for some singers. And I was one of the lead singers of the Inspirational Choir at the time. And so Stevie Wonder heard my voice and said, I'd like her to do some BVs for me. That was the beginning of me doing backing singing, 20 feet from stardom. And so then the journey began, and everyone that I've sang with, to answer your question, Esther, everyone that I've sang with have said to me, Sarah, what is it about your voice? What is it? There's something about it. And I say to all of them, it is the fact that my voice was born in a Pentecostal church, very African based, if you like. The harmonies that were coming out of these services, very African, very Soweto gospel. Think of that. They were the harmonies that was coming out. And then you had, however, the passion, as I said, of James Brown. You know, all these Rubenesque, beautiful women in their two-piece suits and their wonderful dresses with their high heels and their stockings and hats, gloves to match, going to church. They would take their gloves off, throw the bags to one side, and they were in the aisle dancing, sweating, singing at the top of their voices, harmonizing. This is what I had as a child. And so when my employers would say to me, Sarah, what is it about your voice? I would say, listen, it's that. It's Mahalia Jackson. I was listening to her from I was 6 years old, right through, and I still listen to Mahalia when I'm sad now. Okay.
Sorry, I want to hold it, but when you've just explained that, Sarah, what I'm also getting is, yes, your voice is all of that, but then you carry something through with that. You personally carry something through that's coming from that ancestral place,
Absolutely.
because it's deep, it's rich, and you're embodying, yes, you've embodied the Pentecostal aspect and the James Brown. Yes, absolutely. But then there's something where you have almost tapped into the soul of Mahalia Jackson and what she stood for. She was a representation of the voice of her people. She was a representation of the voice of pain. She was a representation of the voice of
Absolutely.
the remnants of slavery and the pain, and even in her day the racism. And
Absolutely.
so her voice gave hope, you know.
Absolutely. Now, can I say this to you?
Had
Because
indeed.
it really does come round. You have to, I hope your listeners will just see with me and pardon me, because I'm so passionate about this project, which is Sarah Brown Sings Mahalia Jackson. I'm very, very passionate about it because it embraces the child. You know, that child that saw her mother being beaten by her father. It embraces the child that went to these gatherings of, you said something there, I do embody the soul cry of the ancestors who were shackled. I do embody that. The Windrush generation were grandchildren, some of them children of slaves.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, in my family, my parents, my mother especially, there's 13 of them, and they live to 100, 110, and so on. My grandfather was born 1801, something like this,
Mm-hmm.
and died much, much later. I'm from a bloodline of people that live till they're very old. And so what I'm saying is, I did hear, I feel, the battle cry of those ancestors who were in the bottom of the boat, right? Being shipped from their wonderful homeland in Africa to various parts of the Caribbean.
Yes.
And so when those people, and also what a lot of people don't realize is slavery was still going on long after it was abolished in Britain and America. It was still happening in the Caribbean. There were still, you know, slave owners that weren't letting go. And you can go to some of these big houses today and you still see them in Jamaica. So actually, I do feel that my cry, my song resembles and is born from a long line of ancestral singing that goes even before slavery. So
Yes.
when we were free, I
Yeah.
have that sound. And then I also have the sound where when we were captured and in desperate pain in the bellies of those ships, I also have that sound.
Mm. And yeah, and there's two things, like you said, the sound and the song. You know, they're two different. The song is a song, but the sound of it all is that rich, deep belly cry reaching out. Do you want, or what would you desire for people who listen to your album? And it's your first solo album, if I'm correct, is that right?
Yes, it is. It's the first solo album.
Excellent. So I've got to say congratulations. And
Thank you
so
very much, Esther.
we've covered quite a really sort of deep, rich embodying of who Sarah Brown is and the voice that she brings to this album and the voice that she's sharing with the world. What is it you would like those who listen to it to garner from it, to gain from it?
I think there's two things. Esther, it took me forever, to be fair. It took me a very long time to muster up the courage to sing my story, because I do feel I'm singing a story.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love people to muster up or to glean from this the ability to face your fear head on and recognize that what you need to do in order to really face your fear and fight it is practice, prepare, and just, first of all, put one foot in front of the other.
Yes.
By doing the work that needs to be done. And don't become overwhelmed by the completion of it. Just take one step in front of the other. I was given a vision, and I was totally struck down with fear once the vision came to me to do this album, to tribute Mahalia Jackson. Because I thought, my first thoughts were, Sarah, you're not good enough. There are other great singers out there that could do justice to this album. And also where I wanted to take this album, which is where I am taking it, it's gone to Ronnie Scott's 3 times, sold out show. It's gone to the 100 Club. They're asking me back, sold out show. And it's also gone to Cheltenham Jazz Festival, a much larger audience, sold out show. And you know, for those of you listening, I've now been invited to take the show, take the album to Union Chapel in November.
Excellent.
It's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible. And so that's the first thing I'd like people to take from this is face your fear head on by preparing yourself for what you need to do to access the vision that you've been given. And just take one step at a time and don't listen to anyone. Just listen to the voice which has come from the universe. It has come from God Almighty. It is you, it's your ordination. This is why you're here. Do it. And the second thing is, I would love people to really recognize that Mahalia Jackson, remember, was asked to be a Bessie Smith, a Ma Rainey. These big Rubenesque characters were very famous,
Yes.
you know? And what Mahalia did, which is why I feel I have to tribute her, she not only reached my tender soul at 6 years old and went deep down in me and has stayed in me, she just, how can I put it? She left her honest, authentic, pure mark. And this is what I would like people to take from this project. Mahalia Jackson said, I'm not going to go and sing jazz, although she sang jazz. She said, I'm not going to go and sing blues, although to me, she was the mother of blues.
Yes.
Those singers in church, they knew why they were singing back then. As you said earlier, Esther, you know, they were fighting against racial abuse. You know, it wasn't just their necks that were being stamped upon. It was their faces. It was their hearts. It was their dreams.
It was their essence. It was their humanity.
Absolutely.
And Mahalia just brought something into people's worlds that
Mahalia has taught us to go to that place inside. Absolutely. Whether you're white, Indian, Japanese, Absolutely. Chinese, Russian, we all have blues. Blues is the soul cry. And I say that, and unapologetically, it is the soul cry. And if you go to that place, you will reach everybody and anyone, because it's honest and it's pure, and you don't need to understand my language. It's a soul cry, and it's a sound that vibrates from me to you. I just want to share this with you, Esther, really quickly, which highlights this point of the soul cry and this album. When Amazing Grace was written, it was written by a slave trader. And I can't remember his name. Please forgive me. Names come and go with me, and I can't remember his name. But when he wrote this song, he heard the melody from the slave ship. And it was a slave that would have been humming this melody. Amazing grace, Lord, how sweet. There's a lot of pain in that. What does a white man who's rich and who's eating the best food, and I'm not being racist here, what does a slave owner know about that kind of pain? You don't. And so when you listen to Amazing Grace being sung in the Church of England, it's stripped of all its pain. But what I've tried to do is bring back that ancestral cry that would have been on that boat. And I'm doing it unapologetically, and I'm also not beating anyone over the head. I'm not interested in beating up the white man or the white woman. That's not what I'm doing. But I am interested in educating you. You need to know where it's come from. And I go right back to Mahalia Jackson with your question, what am I wanting to achieve here? I want people to come away with the ability to look at their fear and fight it, and then realize that fear is nothing but a speck under your foot. And the second thing is to just understand that Mahalia Jackson, and respect that Mahalia Jackson was the one that brought us blues and pop and rock and roll, especially rock and roll. Especially rock and roll. Just go back and listen to, on YouTube, any of Mahalia Jackson's early works, Newport Jazz Festival. Go and watch her there. Look what happens to her when she's singing and getting in the spirit. That's more than Elvis Presley, and that's way before Elvis Presley. That's rock and roll, and that's blues all day long. Educate yourselves and recognize that this lady, this beautiful Rubenesque woman, left us with such a gem. She left us with rock and roll, and she left us with blues, and she left us with jazz, and I'm proud of it. And that's what I'd like people to take away from this project.
Fantastic. And this is going to really wind this, I don't want to say interview, I want to say conversation, because this is a conversation with the wonderful Sarah Brown. And I just love your impassioned thoughts, feelings around not just what you're doing, but also what you want others to experience. And especially when you said, it's whether you're black, blue, or little green pygmy, if you are in a place of, that's why you say, if you are in that place of pain, you can, because fear is, they said false expectations appear real, and we all go through it. I mean, even last week, I had a moment myself. I'm like, no, it isn't that, Esther. And then when you put one foot in front of the other, like you said, somehow the universe just pushing you. So I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. And I was talking to someone yesterday about having a faith sometimes that goes beyond. And I said to them, people see me as this, oh, Esther's done this. I said, yes, Esther's done this. I said, sometimes, trust me, sometimes I am feeling fear, but I'm stepping. And I'm stepping, and I'm stepping. And it doesn't mean that I'm still not scared or fearful, but I'm stepping. And that's how I've managed to create this. And I feel ultimately what this is all about is when you have a sense of purpose and understand your purpose, that's what it is about. Ultimately, the fear, the pain, the doubt, but if you've got a sense of purpose, I know somewhere in the Bible it says, where the people perish because they do not have a vision, something like that.
Without a vision,
The
the
people
people perish.
perish.
That
That's
is,
right.
you know, let's be honest, where we are now, how many of us are just floating aimlessly because we're trying to find something to grab onto. It's an absolute, oh my good, it's murky where we are, and it's very difficult for us to even feel like there's a vision and to believe when the vision comes to us. I agree with that, Esther,
And that's
100%.
why what we do and our passion, people like us that can push through, can hopefully we will inspire others. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's intense, but just keep holding because it's the vision and what could possibly be on the other side. That's going to be the rainbow. But as you go through, it's also the learning and the lessons and all those things, but also there's beauty in that. I mean, I could talk to you forever. And we could have this what I'd love to do is have a conversation with you around more from like a personal development type of side or a healing side because of the work you do. But for this purpose, we want to really tunnel down on the album. But it's been such a blessing. It's been such a blessing. And just tell us a little bit more about the album. I mean, it's a tribute
Okay.
to Mahalia. And so how many tracks do you have on there? Where can people purchase it?
Okay, right. Um, Sorry about my passion again. I tend to veer.
No apologies, because I'm the
Okay,
same.
so the album is called Sarah Brown Sings Mahalia Jackson. There are, I believe, 9 tracks on the album. When I perform about 11 songs of Mahalia's. The songs that are on the album, I'll list them for you. Didn't It Rain? That's a real jazz-based rendition that I've done there. And I'm really proud of it because it's my orchestration and I just absolutely love it. And at first, I just thought, no, the purists, the Mahalia Jackson purists are not going to appreciate this. But actually, they've loved it. They've absolutely loved it. And so I've loved that one. And so the next one is I'm on My Way. That's got a kind of tango-esque vibe to it. In fact, it's the favorite track on the album for me. I took a chance because, again, I thought a lot of the people listening to Mahalia Jackson are not gonna really appreciate it, but it's the highest listening track on the album. It's hit a million. It's really loved. And then I've got Summertime. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful rendition. Myself and the piano player Colin Good, and we've stylized this album as a 1930s. That's what we've done. 1920s, 1930s. There's a ragtime element to it that I absolutely love. So there's Summertime, Didn't It Rain, I'm on My Way, Amazing Grace, Joshie Fought the Battle of Jericho, oh my goodness, Walk Over God's Heaven, amazing track, amazing. I've used 4 male singers to do the BVs. One of them, you may know, Basil Mead from London Gospel Community Choir.
Okay.
Just incredible. I was privileged to have him sing with me on some of the tracks, and it's just beautiful. I think that's 7, and I can't even remember the other 2 now.
That's
but you know
fine.
what?
That's
Your
fine.
listeners are going to love this album. It's not what you're expecting at all. I put a lot of time into this, and I've been very deliberate about where I wanted it to go. I wanted it to be set in the 20s, 30s, 40s. That's the musical backdrop, because I want us to feel what Mahalia Jackson was feeling.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, Sarah, it'd be great to come and see you perform. Hint, hint, Lily, hint, hint. Um,
Esther, you need to make sure you give me your details. I want you there. I'd love you to
I
be at
would
this concert. It's going to be amazing.
I would love to. So, just want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing all the best. I don't even need to say all the best with the album because there's an energy around it already, and it's just going to reach lives and touch lives in on many different levels. Um, and thank you so much. And I will definitely see you soon, ladies and gentlemen. I've been talking to Sarah Brown on the sofa with Esther. Thank you.
Bye, Esther.
Bye.
Thanks so much for your time, guys.
Don't go, yeah, don't hinder me. If you don't go, don't hinder me. If you don't go, don't hinder me. I'm on my way. I'm on my way.